Resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Well, hello, my Next Level friends. Welcome to another episode of the Artist Next Level podcast. I am very happy to be here with you. It's been a while. Last week, I did not do any episodes of the podcast. I apologize about that. But as you know, it's been such a weird season last few days and weeks for some of you as we all experience this pandemic of the coronavirus as it spreads throughout the world, and lockdowns and closings and quarantines and many things happening all over the place. So for us, it started actually when we went to New York for the Armory show. We came back, and so since we were in New York, things had already started to spread there. And then when we came to Chicago, the next few days to see how everything changed pretty much from one day to the next, as we experienced also closings and lockdowns. And we are now in full lockdown here in the Chicagoland area as well. And probably where you are at too, you maybe have experienced some of this, or maybe you are about to, right? So I'm thinking about, the type of content that I want to bring to you, the response that I want to, bring to you here in the podcast, which in my video show, I have already started last week doing all kinds of things new. There's a new show of My Breakfast with Sergio that now is interviews with artists from around the world who are dealing with lockdowns, who quarantine, artists who are in really areas where there's a lot of damage by this virus, such as northern part of Italy, China, and so on. So I'm starting to reach out to artists, getting their stories, documenting their stories through video. And as I think about all this material, what I want to do here for you, my friends, on the Artist Next Level podcast is I want to also start sharing some of those episodes with you. Those are short episodes, 10 to 12 minutes each. So every day I'm going to be starting to share those with you as well, because I think they are wonderful stories. They are stories of resilience, stories that will inspire you, stories that will help you think about ways in which you can continue moving your art career forward even in this difficult time. It's a great way for me to support what you're doing as an artist here through the podcast. If you watch Breakfast with Sergio, maybe you have seen some of those already. But again, if you are not, I want to bring those mini stories here for you as a podcast. Today, actually, is an amazing episode because I have a conversation with the founders of a gallery in Barcelona, where also they're going through a lot right now. And this is the gallery named Amuleto. It's a wonderful gallery who also has a lot of interest and vision for the future on using the platforms of social media and the internet to really broadcast and disseminate the work of the artist. So they are really forward thinking, and I think you'll find this episode to be amazing. Valentino Caruso, who is the director and project manager, he will share, his stories, what they're doing, and also Tadeo Barreiro, who is the business management of the gallery. He will also bring his insight. So it's a great conversation between the three of us on how art galleries are adapting, how they are adapting themselves to this new reality, which is something that is not new for them. They have already been thinking about and working actually on alternative ways of working with art on a digital space. So I think you'll find this episode refreshing. You will find it very useful, and you will find it also inspiring, particularly if you are also a curator or you are also one who works with a gallery, to think about ways in which we can get our work out there as we go through these lockdowns around the world. And before I introduce you to my friends in the podcast, I also want to mention to you one last resource that Dr. Janina and I have been working really hard for the last couple of weeks to tell you the truth. As we go through this, season of difficulty, we wanted to create a resource for artists that will help them as well to deal with this, getting ideas, getting motivation, inspiration. And we have created a webinar that's called From Your Home Studio to the World, your 5-step plan to unleash your art career. Even in times like this, it's kind of a way for us to help you out. It's a free live training that we're going to be doing online. and we're going to do 1 or 2 a week for the next 3 weeks to help our community. You will learn how to take action, how to discover financial support strategies that can help you, particularly now. Many of you had courses or classes or events that were canceled because of these shows. So, how to think about also in terms of other financial support that you can bring to your career. Also, how to expand your reach even if you are stuck from your home. And something that I'm very excited about is that Dr. Yanina Gomez, who you know well, she has been here many times and giving us her advice as a psychologist, as an expert in mindset. So Dr. Yanina Gomez, she's going to help us out with the mindset of feeling stuck, feeling unmotivated. How do we keep moving forward when we have this fog in our mind of everything that's happening around the world? So she's really going to help us out, and definitely you don't want to miss it. Check it out. It's totally free. It's a 1 hour or so webinar with Dr. Yanina and I that is called From Your Home Studio to the World, and you can sign up for it really easily. Just go to our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com/world. Again, www.theartistnextlevel.com/ and the word world. And as you do that, or if you have trouble finding it, just message me and I'll be happy to send you a direct link. But I hope you can join us there. Just register so that you can see the days we're going to be offering this awesome webinar. Well, my friends, as I promised, I want to share with you my conversation with Valentino Caruso and Tadeo Barreiro of Amuleto. Amuleto is a contemporary art gallery which started in February 2018, so fairly new. Since then, they have looked for young artists depicting art with historical importance, quality, and heart, showcasing the best they can find. They transform art lovers into art collectors, and they've been doing a great job. Creating a digital space with the modern tools we all have to our disposal, they communicate and establish dialogues with audiences from all around the world, because now with the internet, there's no limits. So my friends, I am super excited to share with you my conversation with Valentino Caruso and Tadeo Barreiro. First of all, I would like to welcome here my guest, Valentino Caruso. He's the gallery director of Amuleto. Hi, Valentino. How are you?
Hello, Sergio. Nice to meet you. I'm very happy to be in the podcast after such a long time, listening to you and learning so much. And I want to say I'm very sorry that we couldn't meet in Barcelona. It would have been amazing to have vermouth and tapas here.
I know,
talking
right?
About the art.
I know it's one of those things that when we started connecting on Instagram, it's like, oh man, But you know what? We're gonna go back. So either we go to Barcelona or you come to Chicago. One of the two.
Oh, I want that. I'm very boring. I just talk about art and painting, but I think we will be able to talk about it.
Excellent. And I also want to welcome here the three of us. Tadeo Barreiro. He's the business manager of Amuleto.
Hi, Sergio. Very nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you as well, Tadeo. Super happy to have you both here in the show. And so let's start talking about this. So I think the first thing that we really need to address is the coronavirus situation in each of our cities. So maybe, Tadeo, if you can tell us a little bit of a quick update, how things are right now in Spain, particularly, in the city of Barcelona where you guys are based.
Yeah, anyone who follows the news, I imagine that they know that we are currently in lockdown. I would say, and this is only my personal opinion, we're only about 2 weeks behind Italy. So I think for us, the worst is to come. Mm-hmm. The good thing is the government did take actions quite rapidly, and I feel most of the population is taking care of themselves and self-quarantining themselves. So yeah, so we're trying to keep business as usual when it's clearly not usual at all.
Right. And have you seen like people now cooperating more as they see that, like you said, what's happening in other countries now getting closer to them?
Yeah, well, in terms of EU, for example, there's been a big debate of who helps who.
Okay.
At the start of the week, for example, we had Germany was not allowing companies to sell preventive materials to Italy because they wanted it for themselves. But now they've already done that. So I think there is some cooperation, and I think there's a lot of awareness about the fact that we're all in this together. So if Italy is going for a rough time, any country next to Italy will suffer the same consequences if we don't help it.
Right. And one of the things, like, for example, happened to me is that I was in New York City for the Armory show when kind of like the first cases in New York began to happen. And so we were there as the news broke down, and, people began to really get more into this mindset of like, wait a minute, it's not only something that I see far away in the news, but it's actually here in my neighborhood or in my city. And then we came to Chicago, and it's like Chicago is also like, a few days delay, right, or a couple of days delay from what's happening in New York, and so on. So I find that, in all this, like, the first time when you see it close to you is like the shock, right? I like, wow, it's happening here. And then after that shock is like figuring out, okay, so this is the new normal for a while. Now we need to adjust, figure out how we run our business, how this means, what this means to us, and so on. So I think that we are now at that point where, for you guys, you are, um, advanced from where we are at here in the United States. We just started closing things. And so, as we see what's happening in other countries and getting closer to us, we see that progression. So Valentino, do you feel like now, as you guys have been, for more than a week or 2 weeks into this, that as a gallery, you've been rethinking how to approach this situation?
Yes, I was thinking, of course, there is a very huge preoccupation worldwide about the coronavirus. So, of course, things have lowered down. Now, for example, through our social media, through Instagram, we are curating posts, for example, with different artists all around the world, also that we like, and all the team we like, just to spread a little bit of love and to calm people, and also to help to be conscious about the situation, because it's, of course, unprecedented, the situation. So it's very hard to people to take it seriously sometimes. And I know me and our friends, we are taking care, but I'm not sure if everyone gets this conscious about how heavy it is. So we are focusing on digital experience, and we also putting more attention to people to bring them near to the gallery. For example, I put in the TV of our Instagram the other day, I had a conversation with a writer from Argentina, and he's 32 years old, and we talked about the nature of contemporary art on streaming, and it was a very, 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 very beautiful conversation, and also was very nice, people returning to us live also, and having questions, and was really, really interesting. So trying to use these new tools, to engage with with our community also. Of course, we are so digital that we have much of our community all around the world. So it's great to have this introspective time to show another part of, or our side of us, and through the media.
Right.
Also, the people is much more time in their home also.
Yeah, so everybody's kind of hooked to their devices. I actually saw in the news last night that they are even asking Netflix to lower the quality of their video because so many people are streaming, and some of these services like YouTube and Amazon Prime and Netflix, they're streaming so much video that they're taking a lot of bandwidth. So it's interesting, and galleries like yours and mine and many others, as we look into the future and adapt, not even the future, adapting to the present, doing more of those things, I think is very important. But the good thing, I think, on all this is that for you guys, for the Gallery Amuleto, the idea of going online and being very active online is not new. It's not a reaction to something that happened 2 weeks ago. It's actually something that for you has been part of your kind of like your business plan for the gallery and how you want to run the business in 2020. So I would love to hear that from you, Tadeo, since you're kind of the business manager of the gallery. You can tell us a little bit about that, how Amuleto decided to start this gallery with a huge emphasis online, again, before this whole coronavirus was even around.
Yeah. So the project was started by Valentino. quite some time ago, and it slowly developed while incorporating new people. When I joined the project, they were already thinking about all the digital experiences that we could create.
Mm-hmm.
And we realized that by being digital, we actually had an advantage towards any other gallery because we're not connected to a physical space. So to your point of having this crisis right now is we had no issue with a physical space. We don't own a physical space.
Mm-hmm.
So before, let's say pre-crisis, what we've been doing is a combination of exhibitions of places that either we rent out or we do a collaboration with a local gallery, and then bringing our expertise of digital marketing through Instagram and Artsy and engaging people. Now, with the crisis on us, what we start realizing is that we need to step up our own game. Even though let's say the industry itself is still very much in the old method, online seems to be an afterthought for our galleries. Even I think it was either today or yesterday, Artsy sent out an email saying, "Hey, because of the virus, there's no exhibition, but you should still check out their artwork." And I went in, and it's not that great of an experience. I just go in and I see little squares of paintings. I'm not immersed in an experience. So we've been talking a lot about that. Is how can we make an online experience unique or for people for people to want to come and see the paintings.
That's very interesting. Yeah, as the technology changes too, right? Using kind of like what's here right now. There's a lot of conversation about VR and all those things, how that will affect the way we experience pretty much anything online. But we're not quite there yet. And
wait, actually, Sergio, let me stop you right there because
go ahead.
we've arrived a couple of months ago for a real live exhibition. We developed alongside a good friend of ours, Marek, an app for augmented reality.
Okay.
So the idea is that you get to see what I will explain to you as a QR code, but it looks a bit nicer. You use the app. You look that has a camera. The only thing that the app is a simple camera. You point it at the marker or this QR code, and all of a sudden a painting comes into real life, and high definition, massive, and also in a fixed in space, so you can move around and see it. Actually, if anyone wants to try this out, if you go to our Instagram, which is Amuleto_art, you'll find one of the markers, and you can use someone else's phone to put it on top, and you'll get to experience it. But more to that, now we realize that right now this is the only way that we have to do an exhibition. So we need to improve this. We need to find out better way of giving people those markers, those QR codes, and maybe go into, as you say, into VR or trying to make it as immersive as possible.
Right, exactly. And I'm happy that you mentioned that too. And as that becomes available, also how it becomes available also for the user, because the gallery can have all these really nice tools, but then if the user needs to download many things, or it becomes a whole process to get to, then adaptation is slower. But I'm glad that you are working on that and making steps to make that possible, sooner than later. Because I think that is so important. And we work everywhere with our phones. We have it in our phones to have access to all these art that we are making available from the artists that we represent in our galleries. I think is very important, and making it in ways that the person who's looking, the collector, can get really close to the artwork like they would actually do in a gallery, and move around it, see how it looks on the side, top, bottom. I think that's essential.
That's essential.
Go ahead,
Valentino.
Valentino.
No, I wanted to say also that it's essential also to get the art closer to the people. And also it's a way of understanding that we are grabbing all the tools of these times that we have, and technology is also advancing so quickly that now we get the chance. So the other day I was thinking I need a 3D scanner to scan a sculpture, to put it in a next project we have now. No, so I was thinking I'm asking a friend for a 3D scanner, which probably 5 years ago I wouldn't have the chance to scan a sculpture and put it in the in a place in a square. We are going to put it here in Barcelona.
Right.
So that I thought it was amazing that these tools are developing and they are coming into
Mm-hmm.
our work or our projects also. Anyways, I want to make one small point. The last exhibition, the one Tadeo mentioned about the AR exhibition,
Mm-hmm.
it's very curious anyways how the way we interact with art and how we interact with painting is changing, because we presented a group exhibition of all of our artists, which
Mm-hmm.
some are in New York, some are in Argentina, and others are here in Europe, all together through augmented reality. And how we experience the painting is completely different, because we cannot see the materiality of the painting, we cannot see the oil, we cannot see the acrylic, and we cannot see the material of the sculptures also. So I think it's very, very interesting to think that on the theoretical part also of how we are changing the logic of how we interact with art and painting and sculpture. And
Mm-hmm.
also mm, with virtual reality, it's
Mm-hmm.
completely insane. We are creating new spaces which we cannot touch, but they are still there, and I think that's super interesting
Right.
also.
And I think to realize that it's very important to realize that it is closer than we may think, right? Because technology today changes at a faster rate than 10 years ago, right? Because things move so quickly and so fast that this is something that it may feel far away, but it's actually at a close proximity. I mean, uh, there will be a time in which a lot of this VR and so on will be part of our social media, and our everyday lives. So getting an extra or an early step into it, I think is a great thing. I remember still, that might tell you how old I am, but back in the day when galleries started to hear about this online thing, and many galleries at the beginning had a really hard time, with this idea of putting their artwork online. I still remember it. I
Mm-hmm.
was a young artist. I was, just kind of looking around, but I remembered many of the conversations that were happening in the forums where gallery owners who just hesitated about this whole online thing. It seemed like it was just for, it was gonna be something that just came and went. But then later it became like the thing that all galleries had to have an online presence, otherwise they were not taken seriously, right? So how things change and evolve so quickly, in adapting to those changes, I think is so important. And for a gallery, for you, like as I see Amuleto, you're positioning yourself in a place where you're already thinking about what's next versus reacting to what's coming. You know what I'm saying? Like being in a step
Mm-hmm.
ahead and trying to solve some of the problems that are right now in the digital world, that maybe some of the things that you actually end up discovering or doing or creating, open the door for other galleries to be able to do the same. um, Tell me a little bit about maybe Tadeo, you can tell me a little bit about some of the things that you guys have kind of for the future that you are looking at in terms of doing things online.
Yeah. So as you're mentioning, we're focusing on trying to create experiences being purely online,
Mm-hmm.
or at least let's say digital. We think the AR functionalities that we have in the app are superb.
Mm-hmm.
We can now push it. You could have it right now in your house. You can have your own gallery if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And moving from there, we want to start to collaborate with galleries around the world and
Mm-hmm.
doing joint exhibitions without the need to transport any paintings back and forth. So doing purely digital collaborative exhibitions. I think for us that's a very interesting way of for starting a relationship with the gallery, and taking very few first steps in order to do that. Then, as Valentino was mentioning, we were planning to have a sculpture as also in AR in one of the main squares here in Barcelona. So it's
Oh,
a
cool.
quite famous square right in front of the Museum of Contemporary Art of
Mm-hmm.
MACBA.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be there, or has always been a sculpture But now it gets graffitied constantly, so they've had to remove it. So we want to homage that sculpture, and also the city and the culture, and place another sculpture there, completely in virtual reality, in order for people to enjoy it. And the nice thing about this of technology is that it's incredibly scalable. So the moment we do one sculpture, we can do 100 sculptures. We can do 100 places.
Right.
So we're very excited about that.
And all of a sudden, there's no borders, right? It is accessible by anyone and everyone from anywhere. And that's kind of like the beauty of the whole thing.
Exactly, and it's inclusive. It brings more people together. Normally, some people can't go to certain museums or galleries because they're physically not in the space. They don't have the time, but also because they don't feel comfortable in those spaces, which is something that we hear quite a lot. More with young people that are not that much in touch with art, and we want to try to have those barriers disappear.
Right, absolutely. So, Valentino, let me switch the conversation with you a little bit. As you, as a gallery director, I assume you are the one in touch with the artists that you work with and you represent. Tell me a little bit about, what's the gallery focus? What kind of artists you like to work with? And as you approach them, how do they take this idea of the, being so active in the internet and social media and all those technologies?
Well, as a gallery, we are dedicated now to emerging art. We started also working with emerging artists here in Barcelona. It was a little bit by chance that I started working as a gallerist, because 1 year and a half I was working as an artist, but I started meeting a lot of people here in Barcelona, and they gave me a space and they asked me if they wanted to run a gallery for 3 months. During that experience, which I didn't know almost anything about art gallery, I started reading magazines from Freeze to Art Forum and L'Officiel of Art, and I ran that gallery for three months. But I connected with so many people, so many artists, and so many other gallerists, and everyone was impressed because of our work and our space and the art we had. And so 6 months after, I continued working and learning about this. I was working much more as a painter and a writer myself, but then I understood that maybe a gallery could be a way of complementing my life also, because I really believe in the work of curating the artists the gallery works with and helping them intellectually. And also I believe that having a gallery and selecting different artists is a way of building kind of an orchestra, and with different artists also try to transmit the vision I have of art. And all of our artists are very, very young, but they are all with their career launched, which is amazing. We really focus on emerging artists, but also with people who has their studio already and is working, and they have a commitment for art. I'm not very exclusive, but yes, we get a lot of portfolios and everything. But what I answer to everyone, and I tell them honestly, what I really want to have with an artist is an understanding and a communication through several weeks or months, so I can understand him, and it's not a gallery that we are trying to sell artworks from every artist just because they have their own market or because it's convenient for us.
Right.
I really believe in the intellectual work together with the gallery and with the artist.
So as you look at the way galleries have been run in the past, and the representation method that's been working for the last 20 years or so, and as you kind of create your own gallery and put together this new venture, how do you differentiate yourself from other galleries? Whether in other words, kind of what are some of the things that you said I'm going to do the same, and these other things I'm going to do different?
I think I was thinking about this the other day about the bridge I'm trying to generate with our artists, because I used to see, of course, I learned many things from my gallery and from blue chip galleries, and I understand that through time there was a gap being made between artists and galleries. And I think it's because of the misunderstanding between both of them. I think that as a emerging gallery,
Mhm.
we have the trust of our artists because we are so young and we are
Mhm.
very close to them. I visit their studio every week. I
Mhm.
call on the phone the people in New York and Buenos Aires
Mhm.
um, every week. And I also think I understand very good when the artist cannot do them themselves, because of course everyone nowadays is saying no, but we don't need art galleries anymore because we have social media and we
Mhm.
have our own way of communicating our art. But that is not true for every artist. In our gallery we represent 7 artists. Some of them can communicate their work, some of them are really good, some of
Mhm.
them struggle, and some of them do not want to do it at all, and they
Mhm.
just want to be working all day. So
Mhm.
in that way we sit with them and we ask them what they want from us. We tell them what we can do, what are our ideas. Also, as a young gallery, I want to say I read a lot and I get informed a lot. So I have I'm propense to have very crazy ideas all of the time and
Okay.
very new. And so that's very good. And I have a great team, which is Tadeo and Maika Gachikova,
Mhm.
the girl of visual communication and marketing, who helped me very much to do this. I think we have also flexibility, being young, and we have all this energy of working digitally also.
Mhm.
I think the possibilities are way
Mm.
better also. Yeah.
No, that's fabulous, and I love that story. And it reminds me kind of when I started my own gallery, 33 Contemporary, back 2004. Kind of like same as you in that I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about running a gallery. I mean, I had been to galleries, but running one had no clue. But I had that desire, that will, because again, I saw a gap. I saw something that wasn't being done, and I wanted to be part of. And so, there's some relationships on that, and it's so exciting to, to hear what you have in mind, and now how you have created this also as an artist yourself, which, in my case too, I was first an artist and then I became a gallerist, and then from that I became a curator. But it's kind of that progression, right? Because you're an artist too, you understand both sides, right? On how the artist works and how the artist
Mhm.
functions, and also now on the other side of the desk, if you will, also understanding the business part of it, what it takes to run a gallery, to partner with an artist. Because at the end of the day, I think, this is it's a relationship that you have with an artist, right? When you are representing an artist, it's a relationship, and that relationship matures and grows, and sometimes,
Completely.
yeah, sometimes it gets stronger, and sometimes also, just like any relationship or family, sometimes there's departures, and that is fine. But
Mhm.
again, I love that you are working very closely with the artist and really enforcing that relationship that you can have with them, and being part of their career as they launch their careers as an emerging artist as well. I think that's fabulous. So,
Yeah.
Tadeo, let's talk a little bit about the business part of it in terms of, as a gallery, right? Sales have to happen so that the business can grow, right? And
Yeah.
so it's for the benefit of the artist that the gallery has a good business model, so that when that happens, sales happen, and that allows for artists to continue to making the work. And but I never realized how much expenses and how difficult it was to run a gallery until I became a gallerist myself. And, until you are on the other side of the desk, you don't realize everything that goes behind that. So tell me a little bit about, as you work in the business part of Amuleto. How are you also fostering sales or looking for your curator base and so on? Are you using online platforms, your website? How are you doing that part of the making the work available to curators?
Yeah. So we're basing ourselves on two main pillars right now. With one is Instagram and the other one's Artsy.
Wonderful.
We've had a website, and we do still have a website, but we realized that um, we wanted to simplify the experience as much as possible. and we realized our website was not up to that level. If you have seen it before, it looks like a normal gallery website. The thing is, it's too minimalist. It doesn't invite people to interact with it. So we're rethinking that. And in the meantime, we are focusing our communication entirely on Instagram. We realize that if not all our audience are there. And we also have a newsletter where we have a more like long form communication with either interviews or big announcements. Through those two mediums, we keep a constant engagement with our audience. And then what we've been doing is, in terms of, let's say, things that we do for selling specifically. So we when we do a real life exhibition, we pass everything over to Artsy to be able to push the exhibition online, and we're open to sending the catalog to people who are interested and communicating with people. We normally get a couple of inquiries where they'll ask various questions, either about the materials or the ideas of the artist behind behind one of the artworks. And then what we're doing is also purely online events. For example, we had a menu for your heart, which is a purely online catalog, where we distribute to all our existing audience, and we again got engagement from there. Moving forward, I think the thing we need to do is actually get our website together and have it englobe everything that we're doing in the other platforms, have it inside our website to be able for us to control and also to improve that experience. I think something we were discussing before the show is this idea of consumers now wanting to buy now the artwork rather than doing the traditional way of doing an inquiry and then having a conversation. We want to try to create that experience as much as possible. That for someone that is buying a original piece of artwork is as seamless and easy to do as buying a phone online, for example.
Totally. And as part of that conversation that we had, this idea, like, for us as a gallery to 33 Contemporary, when we had always had an online presence just like everybody else in social media, but when we actually, let's say, put all the eggs on that basket, really changed the whole dynamic of sales for us, where now 99% of the sales come directly from online versus from somebody coming into a show and such.
And that's amazing.
Totally,
that is amazing.
Totally changed, exactly. And the idea of first kind of like having the work on a buy now button. It was also one of those things that many galleries resisted at the beginning. Again, talking about how things have changed over the years, and but when we tried it, we're like, well, let's give it a try. My business partner and I, we said, well, let's do it. RC released it. They said that it's working well, so we put buy now. And today, I would say 90% or more of the sales that happen through RC, they come because they just click buy now. RC sends us where it's going, and we just ship the artwork. So like there's a reduction on the transition time, on the purchase time. There's also transparency of the the price being listed and is seen. So there's also all these aspects that sometimes in the art world have been mysterious, right? Like who puts the price and
exactly, and you need to talk to the right person. And in order to talk to that person, you need to be the right person yourself. Absolutely, I completely agree. What they're saying about transparency, and also just a pure benefit of the sales cycle. If you want to look at it from a management perspective, the moment that you don't need to be answering questions, and those people are doing questions just maybe to just engage with you, and then they want to buy it, maybe they don't even care about the question. The more you allow them to basically create their own experience, and if they want to ask you a question, they can, but they can also just buy it and not ask you anything. That I think that's very powerful, and again, it's very inclusive. It brings people that before would have never emailed you to inquire about an artwork, and they can buy it.
And right, exactly. And because a lot of the the buyers may be people who are super busy, or maybe a CEO of a company, maybe a lawyer, a doctor, somebody who's on the run, and the time that it takes to send somebody an inquiry, draft the message, send it out, wait for the reply again, all that is time that it's is wasted in between. Now there are of course circumstances in which certain works cannot be just as easily put to buy now, right? That it requires more because it's an installation or it's something more complex, or higher price point, and those things. Of course, I think there's a place for everything. I'm not saying that everything needs to go to buy now, because not everything can go as a buy now. But I think a good percentage of our inventory can easily go as a buy now, and making it available quickly. And then something new that also we've been testing is the option, not only the buy now, which then RC introduced later, the make offer button, where somebody can make an offer on a work, and on that one you have an opportunity to kind of counter that offer. So for example, if you have a work that's let's say 10,000, somebody can offer you 8 or 7, and then the gallery can go back and say, no, how about we go with 9? And so you have that almost like bartering option too, which we're testing right now a little bit too, and see how that works with some of the works. And we have gotten some offers that we have managed to negotiate or accept, and we have made also sales through that as well.
That's very interesting. I would like to hear more, because from our side, the main thing with this different ways of promoting our works, we find ourselves a little bit scared of how, because we're having this whole notion of an artist is valued as depending on the artworks that they're valued, and if the value of one artwork changes, then the other ones change as well. We're always wondering if, like, again, we don't want to play around too much because we feel it might break something. But
Yeah.
but it would be super interesting to know the experience of doing this, of offering a price. Whether the people that you interact with, are they taking it in a nice way? The fact that you're let's say you're bargaining with them.
Yeah, and the fact that you don't have to accept it, right? If the offer is low, you don't have to. Now, when you think about, like, most galleries will have like a 10%, leeway that they may offer to, as to close the sale or so. If you already kind of have that in mind, right? And if the price is appropriate, you could it could work. And again, it's one of those things that maybe not everything has to be on it. You can also run and we were talking about this too earlier. Like, we have done online, like, specials or offers where we did that during Valentine's weekend here in the United States. The Valentine's weekend, we actually organized an online show through Artsy. So we put a selection of works through Artsy. We give a reduced percentage on those works. We run it only for the weekend, and we sold like 6 of them, just on that weekend, from that small, weekend sale, which was, was really good. It was really good, and only took us just to kind of organize it, put it together, and boom, out. And so it's a lot of it, I think, is testing, testing and trying,
absolutely.
see what works, and see for which artist works better and which ones may not, and which works may and may not. And the good thing is that as you test, just because you put something on offer now doesn't mean that it has to stay in the offer now. You can change it anytime. You can have, for example, a special thing where for the first week of spring, certain number of works are in the offer category too, or option, but then you remove them after that. So that's a nice thing with online thing, that you can play around with ideas, test them, send them out, and see what happens.
Totally. And I think I really like your idea of this idea of experimentation. And I think let's say for AR, for other things, we really go forward and we take a chance. And then for others, we're a little bit more conservative. But I really like this idea of experimenting with permission of the artists, of course. I mean, they're experimenting with us, and this is a joint adventure. But this idea of constantly experimenting, not keeping things the same just because out of fear, as we are with with the buy now button. but trying it out, because that's the other thing. Is like online gives you such a big market, so many
Right.
people in there, that if you're trying something new today, maybe someone would like it. If no one likes it, that's fine. The next week
Exactly.
you'll try something different, and you find someone that will actually like that.
Exactly. Yeah, and a lot of times it's a combination of everything that makes it successful, right? Not just a one thing, but a combination of it all.
Absolutely. Yeah,
At the end
you're not gonna like find gold the first time around.
exactly. It's just bits and pieces.
And also being digital, I think it helps us or give us more tools to be innovative, and
Hmm. Yeah,
to build up spaces for these kind of experiments and tests. And also the results, you can see them in a few weeks of experimentation or months, depending, of course, in what we are developing or trying to innovate.
innovation, absolutely. So, Valentino, since you're kind of on the microphone right now, I would love to, as we kind of start wrapping up the conversation, which has been so wonderful, if you can
Yes.
also tell us a little bit about, how do you work with artists in terms of, do you allow artists to approach the gallery, or you have a system in which you review artists for representation? What is the system that you as a gallery, Amuleto, is using to find artists?
Nowadays, well, I told you we are representing seven artists, six painters, and one sculptor.
Mm-hmm.
But I encourage everyone to send us their portfolio. We receive many portfolios already by email and through Instagram. A lot of people contact us,
Okay.
and it is amazing. And I love to review the portfolios. And I'm the one who reviews
Mm-hmm.
every single application. And if I like what the artist wrote in the email, I'm very and I really like the image where I received them, and it's the portfolio and a small introduction with excitement also that they are approaching a gallery, because we are a very very lovely team also. So we look for people who wants also to share experience, to wants to share information, and to build a conversation with them. If the portfolio is very very amazing, and I already, of course, the attitude you can see through internet or from an email is completely different than face to face, because it happens to me, which I'm way better in real life than in
Mm-hmm.
through email. And I still try to talk to them, and if the portfolio is really good, of course, show it to all of our team. And I answered every single application they send me, which is wonderful, and I love to hear back from them. And if I like very much the portfolio, I encourage a conversation, no, asking with what we can help, where are they based, also how are they working, which are the projects for the year. I of our artists that we are working with now um, approach us completely digital. One of the artists saw my paintings in an exhibition, and she wrote me an email, and she was very very nice, and she was very proactive, and it was wonderful. And after 3 months, were already working together, and
Wow.
after 5 6 months, we were having an exhibition of her. She's called Soko. She's Sol Cordich, and she lives in Argentina. So we build a transatlantic relationship, but we talk on the phone every day. And also, it's not about just the art, but also, for example, in this case, just to give an example, and she was traveling around Europe, so she was sending me photos about the art she liked. So we also get in touch through the intellectual part,
Mm-hmm.
about knowing what we are interested, both of us, and I think that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And with Tadeo also and other painters and writers, we have an art club here in Barcelona weekly, where we spend 3 hours a week talking about art.
Mm-hmm.
So we are a team and a gallery which we promote education very much.
Mm.
That's why I like to encourage artists who wants to approach us to be conscious that also I would like them to be introduced to all of the team and the rest of the artists.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the best way of informing each other. I'm even reading now the letters of Van Gogh, and I see
Mm-hmm.
how much he was informed by the artists of his time. Also,
Mm.
he's
Right.
telling about his room full of etchings of Rembrandt and Millet and
Mm.
all of those artist. So I'm learning a lot of that also. But it's the
Yeah.
way I like to work also.
Excellent. And I think one of the questions that maybe some of the artists listening to this might have is in terms when you review when you review portfolios and said, you welcome emails from artists, whether you prefer that they send you a PDF, a link to their website, couple image samples, kind of more specific, that what is your preferred way
Yeah,
of reviewing?
I prefer by email, to be honest, because we can, all the team can check the email all of the time. So please, I would ask the people to send us a PDF if they have an organized portfolio of the last months or year. Because sometimes
Yeah.
they send very old portfolios. So I'm like, okay, but what happened in the last 3 years, And also if they can add the website where I can see more information, maybe links to articles where I can read and to know more about them, just to see how they want to act and help also to the artists, art history, and how they want to inform art at every level. That's what I'm very, very interested. As you could see through our Instagram and also through our artsy, and anyone who wants to check, our artists are not defined by a stylistic movement or a defined visual language. It's much more of what I was saying at the beginning, and the attitude towards art, certain commitment to try to progress from oneself, and also to try to understand and be part of a community.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Valentino, for sharing that information, because that's one of the biggest questions. A lot of times, every guy, and I always say this to artists who ask me, how should I approach galleries? Every gallery is different. Don't expect every gallery is going to be the same. Some galleries review through email, some galleries review through their website, their Instagram. So it's good to ask. And so thank you for sharing that information on your preferred method of checking out artists' works. So
yeah, I'm sorry. Can I say something more? Because I want to say that I learned it from you, and what you are saying right now, I would encourage everyone to follow this advice you give, and I want to say it's true. And the follow-up that you also encourage people to do it. Every gallery is different, every people is different, and everyone is working also. So as you also say, very often try to do the things the easiest you can for the galleries or the curator or whoever you want to work with. Do it the easiest and the more lovely you can, and follow up. And everyone is different, and that's amazing to understand also from any point of view, from curator, galleries, art fairs, or artists themselves.
Right, absolutely. The gold is in the nuances.
Yes.
That's awesome. All right, Tadeo, can you tell our friends how do we find you on social media? What's your social media handle? Also, your website, the name on Artsy, and so on.
Absolutely. If you want to follow Amuleto on Instagram, we're amuleto_art. You can also go to amuletoart.com. That'll send you straight to our artsy and very soon to our real website. On my side, if you want to contact me for the business side, my handle is Tadeo Barreiro. It's just my full name. And also you can do LinkedIn because I'm obviously there.
Excellent. And for you, Valentino, what's the email address of the gallery?
For the address of the gallery is general, or better for reviews, for portfolio, you can send to Valentino, my first name, at amuletoart.com.
Okay. And Amuleto, we spell it Amuleto. Amuleto.
Correct.
Exactly.
And since, just to kind of close, Valentino, tell us a little bit about the name. Why did you call it Amuleto? What's the story behind the name of the gallery?
The story is quite amazing, and also I have a very nice feeling towards the name. Amuleto.
That's a great way to close it. That's awesome. Okay.
Amulet. Amulet is the word in English of amuleto, which is a translation to Spanish, of course. Amulet, it's not like a talisman, but it's an object which has certain powers, certain magic, which helps you to repel evil, diseases, and bad emotions or feelings. So it's something that protects you, and it's something that tries to maintain you on the good side, which I relate very much to art, because I really believe that art, in paintings, video, or sculpture, produces a good feeling on the humans, and you get to develop your soul every time you put yourself in front of a artwork. And it's how Kandinsky used to say, to interact with art is always like having a positive response on mirroring yourself, and because you get to have a quiet introspective moment with you, and any element you can see in an artwork, you try to relate. I encourage everyone always to try to relate to themselves. So in a way, it's keeping away bad things, and also trying to grow as a better person, no? So an amulet is something that helps you to that, the same as art helps you to that.
Awesome. I love the parallels between the two ideas. I think that's wonderful. Definitely a great way to close our conversation today. I want to say thank you so much, Valentino. Thank you, Tadeo, again, for being here, for the sharing of your time. I know, especially where we're all trying to figure out, day by day, what's going to happen, how things are looking. And, we want to also express to all our friends listening to this podcast, our gratitude to you. Keep it working. If you're an artist, keep working. Go into the studio, make the work that matters. If you are a gallerist as well, again, find ways to, like our friends here at Amuleto, find ways to connect with your audience, find ways to get in touch with the people that matter to you as well. And with this shall pass, this will pass, and we are hopeful and have a positive outlook for the future.
I wanted to say bye to Chicago. I have never been there, and this is the first time I'm in a way, also in a digital way, getting there. So I hope to be very soon and there to see the art that I know that is developing very fast. No?
Excellent. Yep. Come on over. We'll be waiting. And Tadeo, some last words before we go?
Just thank you very much for having us. I hope to actually meet face to face soon.
Absolutely. Well, friends, thank you so much for being here. Hope you have an awesome and fabulous day, and I will see you at the next level.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.